There was once a boy named Kwame who lived in the village of Ntowaso, a quiet place surrounded by thick forests and rolling hills. Kwame was known for his curiosity and mischief. He was the kind of boy who would climb trees higher than anyone else dared, sneak into elders' meetings to eavesdrop, and challenge the village boys to races down the dusty paths. But what he loved most was food. No one in Ntowaso had a greater appetite than Kwame. In the village, it was customary to leave small offerings of food at the sacred grove, near the old baobab tree. The elders said these offerings were meant for the ancestors, who watched over the land. The belief was simple. The ancestors provided blessings when they were honored, but anyone who disrespected their food would invite misfortune upon themselves. Every evening, people left bowls of fufu, roasted plantains, and spicy ground nut soup at the grove before nightfall. By dawn, the food would be gone, and everyone believed the spirits had eaten their share. Kwame, however, had his doubts. "How can dead people eat food?" he would whisper to his friends, laughing. "I bet it's just wild animals sneaking in at night." His friends warned him never to speak like that, but Kwame only smirked. His curiosity got the better of him, and one night he decided to find out the truth. That evening, after his mother, Mama Efua, had gone to bed, Kwame tiptoed out of the compound and made his way to the sacred grove. He had been watching the villagers earlier and knew exactly where the freshest bowl of food was placed. He crouched behind a bush, waiting to see who or what came to eat the food. For a long time, nothing happened. The only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the distant hoots of an owl. Just as Kwame was about to give up, a cold wind rustled the leaves, and the air felt different. Then he saw them, figures dressed in white, moving without sound. They glided toward the food bowls and sat down as if they were real people. Kwame's heart pounded, but his hunger was stronger than his fear. If spirits could eat, why couldn't he? As quietly as he could, Kwame crept forward, reached out, and grabbed a roasted plantain from one of the bowls. He hesitated for a moment, expecting something terrible to happen, but nothing did. Encouraged, he bit into the plantain. It was warm, soft, and sweet, better than anything he had ever tasted. He took another bite, then another, until he had eaten the whole thing. The figures in white didn't react. They continued eating, their faces hidden in the shadows. Feeling bold, Kwame sat down beside them and reached for a bowl of fufu and soup. He dipped his fingers in and ate greedily. It wasn't until he licked his fingers clean that he noticed something strange. The figures were no longer eating. They were staring at him, slowly. One of them turned its face towards him, and what Kwame saw made his blood turn cold. The figure had no eyes, only empty sockets where they should have been. Another turned toward him, its mouth opening wide, wider than any human mouth should. Kwame felt a chill run down his spine. He tried to stand up, but his legs wouldn't move. The air around him grew colder, and the figures began to hum, a deep, echoing sound that filled his ears. "You have eaten with us, Kwame," one of them whispered. "Now you belong to us." Terror filled Kwame's chest. He scrambled to his feet and ran, pushing through the bushes, tripping over roots, and tearing his clothes on thorns. He could hear the figures behind him, their humming growing louder. He ran faster than he ever had before, not stopping until he reached his mother's hut. He threw himself inside, panting, and slammed the door shut. Mama Efua, awakened by the noise, saw the terror in his eyes. "Kwame, what have you done?" she demanded, through gasps. Kwame told her everything. Mama Efua's face darkened with fear. She grabbed a calabash of water, whispered prayers over it, and sprinkled some on his head. Then she ran to wake the village elders. By dawn, the entire village had gathered outside. The chief and the elders listened to Kwame's story with grave expressions. "The ancestors have marked him," one of them said. "He has broken a sacred rule. If we do nothing, they will come for him." The village priest, a bent old man named Okamfo Kwaku, stepped forward. "There is only one way to break this curse," he said. "Kwame must return to the grove before the next full moon and make an offering to the spirits. If they accept it, they will release him. If not, no one finished the sentence." The next night, under the watchful eyes of the entire village, Kwame carried a new bowl of food to the grove. His hands trembled as he placed it down. Then he stepped back and waited. The wind stirred the leaves, and from the shadows, the figures in white appeared again. Kwame held his breath as they surrounded the food. For a long time, nothing happened. Then, One of the figures picked up a piece of fufu and ate it. The others followed. The moment they finished, the air around Kwame lightened, and the cold feeling vanished. "Go," one of them whispered, and never returned. Kwame didn't need to be told twice. He turned and ran back to the village, where the elders were waiting. When they saw him safe, they let out a sigh of relief. From that day on, Kwame never questioned the ancestors again. And though he still loved food, he never stole from the sacred grove again. To this day, the people of Ntoaso tell the story of the boy who ate with ghosts, warning children never to let their hunger lead them into the world of spirits.